Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 486 of DrunkNerds podcast. From as always, I'm Tyler. And joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables.
Oh boy, let me tell you something, man. This week has been kind of a crazy one for I know the two of us.
Yeah.
But at the same point, man, it's definitely feeling like getting to that point, where it's just that little lull before you go into like a vacation or something like that, to where you're finishing up the loose ends. As of recording right now and stuff, I got one more work day until I start my vacation. Got like a full 10 days off just to do shit, at least try to get something done. But at the same point, it's been kind of a weird thing because ever since I finished up Elden Ring, I've been like, you know what? This is like, this is feeling like the hangover from like playing a really great game, because it's like you're trying to play whatever it is and stuff that you kind of feel like. Yeah, man, that's the thing about it, man. It's like I got Game Pass, paid for like a month of Game Pass. Went and tried to play like a couple of different games, like downloaded like about 7 of them off of the Game Pass thing, because there were a lot of them that were recently added in over the past month or two. And on top of that, I downloaded the demo for Strangers of Paradise.
I made him.
Well, yeah, because you sent me a random message yesterday, so you got to at least try to go forth and play the demo with this. I'm like, all right.
Well, so I said you have to, and then you said okay, sure, and I'm like, well, you don't have to, but I'm like, I might have came off a little too demanding there. This isn't a hostage situation. I should probably explain. Well, you don't have to, but it'd be great if you
did.
But
I will say I did download that thing, and I did try a bit of it last night.
All right.
But other than that, man, I'm doing good. I mean, hell. But how are you doing, Tyler?
Doing all right. Can't talk about how miserable my week was for multiple reasons, but one thing that really stuck today that we talk about here is I'm wearing my Portillo shirt here from Kind of Funny. Rest in peace. He passed away today. Greg Miller's dog. The king, the one true king. Rest in peace, King Porty. It's almost 17 years old. So I got wearing that out of respect for him. So I may or may not had a pullover at work today on the side of the road and cry for about 15 minutes. When I read the news, I'm currently staying off the internet because every time I go on Twitter, it's just an outpouring of love, and then it makes me sob cry like a girl watching The Notebook. And we don't need to do that right now. But anyways, I'm doing okay. At least it's Friday. We're doing this on a Friday night. Typically we do it Saturday. Yes. I got plans going on this weekend, so Gables was nice enough to record with me tonight. Even though he has to work tomorrow, but the son of a bitch has next week off. I'm very jealous. I'm actually really excited though. For me, a couple weeks ago, my job's really weird where we had to, our New Year's is like June 1st. So our year goes June 1st to like May 31st. But in mid-March, we have to plan that entire year, book all of our vacation time. So we get 2 1 weeks of vacation because we have to take them all in a row. And then we get like 4 floater days. Those ones we can book whenever. I'm gonna try to use 2 of those for the post Extra Life, and then save the other 2 for whenever. But it goes seniority. So last year because I only worked 9 months out of the year. If you have to work a full like calendar year for them before they give you like your full vacation, I only got 1 week of vacation, and that was it. And I was literally like 5 from the bottom on the totem pole. So the only weeks there was 3 weeks available, 2 in February, and then there was 1 in like the first week of October. So I'm like, well, I guess that's all I'm taking. So it's like the only vacation I've had in 2 years. So I am excited though. I am, so many people have left. I have moved way up the ladder in the last year, Gables, which is good for I guess this, but terrible for other reasons. When it got to me, my plan was, all right, I'm going to take the first week that's available in 2022. I'm hoping it's just, I was just like, just give me a week like in June or July. That's all I was hoping for. And then I'm going to take the first week available in 2023. The first week available in 2023 was the first week of February. I'm like, book it. I'm in. Cool. Go with that. And then Gables, there was 1 week available in June, and I got it. I fucking got it. Yes. It's actually the second. didn't plan this. This just how it happened. The normal week that E3 would happen, that week that I would always take off when I went for my previous job. So fingers crossed that if we're having that Summer Games Fest and it's going to be like kind of semi-normal, it happens that week because that would be awesome. But I'm just looking forward to having it sucks that it's like 2 months away, give or take a little bit. But it's just like it helps to know that, like, because like I've been for the last 6 months, I don't know when I'm gonna be able to take a vacation. It could be November, could be June, could be fucking next year sometime. So it's just nice to know that I have a week coming up, at least a couple months. So
you got them good pace too, because it's like February and then June. You get it's all like months.
Yeah, like about 6. That's kind of what I was thinking. Was like, okay, take because I've been burnt out for like I don't even know how long now. I just need a fucking week. I just need a vacation. Like, so I was happy I got that one soon, and then I'm gonna like use my floating like 4 days. I'm gonna use those in the fall sometime. I figured, like I said, I'm gonna use a couple days for post Extra Life there to recover, and then I don't know if we get some release dates on some games. If like God of War gets release date here soon, I'm definitely fucking taking that like Monday off after. I'm assuming it comes out on Friday, because I'm just gonna fucking as soon as I get off work Friday, God of War. So that's my plan. But anyways, though, I'm doing okay, doing a little bit better. A few beers in, so that helps. But yeah, anyways, guys, if you stick with all that, we appreciate it. If you like us, if this is the first time listening to us and you like the show, please go wherever you listen to podcasts at. And go there, look up Drunk Nerds, Drunk Dash Nerds, Drunk Dash Nerds Podcast, whatever. You look it up, you'll find us. Like, follow, subscribe on YouTube. Click the like button. It's right around Gables' junk area. He really appreciate if you did that for him. I hit my mic. I was so excited about people clicking on Gables' junk. But anyway, sorry. Yeah, please do that. If you like if you like us and you want to follow us in more places, if I remember to do it, in the description, you look down there, there'll be a link tree, and that we click on that, and it'll give you a link to every place that we are available on, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever. We're on it. If you're watching on YouTube or whatever, or if you listen to us on, if you use more than one app to listen to podcast on, like Spotify or Apple or whatever, do us a favor. Download us in every single place you go to. Follow us everywhere you go. Every time you guys download the audio version of the podcast, Gables and I get a little bit of money, and we really appreciate that. So we have a nice little boost lately, so it'd be nice if you kept that momentum going. So that would be great. We just randomly had like a huge spike of downloads like last week, and I have no
that's cool.
No idea why, but I'll take them. I appreciate it. So it's been nice, especially because about a year ago at this time now, where we lost our old feed and had to start all over again after 9 years, almost 8 years. 8 years.
Yeah, really.
We're going on 9. After over 8 years of being on the same feed, we lost everything. So I was able to. I luckily had saved our old podcasts, so I was able to bring those over to the new feed. But we lost, all of basically we're just gone. So be appreciative if help us jump back and get. We are still at a fraction of what we were doing on that old feed, so it'd be great if we can kind of get back a little bit closer to that level. But anyways, Gables, we were talking about before the show. I think this might be one of the lightest news weeks that I can remember in a long time. I was telling you before the podcast. It definitely
has seemed that way, yes.
Yeah, like I was telling you for the podcast, like I remember like this in the summer of like the like when we first started, like those first couple of years, like you'd have that big E3 week. We'd have like, it'd just be a bunch of video games at the beginning of the year. We have a lot of news going into E3, and then E3 would happen, and then it would just be from E3 to like mid-August. There'd just be not a lot. Every week we were scrounging for shit, just to bullshit about. Luckily we were just new and just we drink enough and bullshit for an hour about nothing, which is kind of still this podcast almost 9 years later. But anyways, but the industry has changed a lot in the last 4 or 5 years, where video games are coming out all year round, all the time. News is happening all the time. We have directs and EA Plays and Ubisoft Forwards, and just there's always constantly enough stuff going on. So even on a light week, we at least have a couple smaller topics to talk about. There's just not a lot at all. It's kind of a hangover from last week where we had 3 pretty big news stories drop last week. But we did get 3 big game announcements. Starting with here, sorry, I'm trying to do 2 things at once here. Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider is in development by Crystal Dynamics. They announced that there was an Unreal 5, like, I don't know what you want to call it, like a presentation, just kind of showing off like what this the Unreal Engine is doing. It's now available. They announced it last year and showed it off, but it was like, and like a betas going and stuff like that, and like only a few teams were working on it, like Coalition, who does the Gears games. They did a tech demo. And they actually helped make the Matrix tech demo that we had a couple months ago. And then so I think a couple other studios have worked on it too. But we've heard like Witcher 4 they announced is going to be on the Unreal 5 engine and a couple other things. So not a lot's going on. We like doesn't seem like a lot of people have been actively using it yet. But now it sounds like they're saying it's open for everybody to use. And I believe like if I remember correctly, the new Mass Effect game is going to be on Unreal 5 and stuff like that. So, but now it's in the stage now where everybody is, all the developers are going to be able to use this platform, and it just shows how powerful it is, how beautiful the games look, and then how easy it is for people to use and make development much faster for game developers. But anyways, they show a few things, like there's like a tech demo of Coalition, which Jeff Grubb has talked about over the last year or so, that there's like a small team at Coalition that is working on like a small game that they're working before they make Gear 6. They're working on this basically like a smaller game to kind of get used to working on the Unreal 5 engine. And no idea the tech demo they showed if that actually is going to be the game or if that's just like a tech demo, like I said. But they showed off that. But some of the things that were announced at it was the new Tomb Raider is in development. It's in the early stages. Crystal Dynamics, who made the Tomb Raider reboots and Rise of the Tomb Raider, they did not make Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Eidos Montreal did that. The people that made Guardians of the Galaxy, the Deus Ex games, they made that one. So they're coming back. They're working on that one. No news if like this is going to be like another reboot. If this is going to be like, is this going to continue on the story that we got with the previous one? Because like, Gables, did you ever play the reboot Tomb Raider games?
I have them. I've just never played through the entirety of like the trilogy of these games. But at the same point, if it ends up becoming like another reboot, I mean, I'm not really too much of a fan of that, only because of the fact that the other ones were so heavily popular and also good games at their core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm in a weird place about it, because I really, really liked, like, I've raved about those games since we've been doing this podcast, at least especially the first 2, where I never played the Tomb Raider games before, but they kind of, like, a lot of people were talking about how they kind of went, like, it was weird because, like, they try to be so anti-Uncharted.
Yep.
That they try to go incredibly dark with the games. And I liked it for that, but it was like people always talk about the original Tomb Raider where like there was dinosaurs and it was just super weird and kind of crazy. And, like maybe they go back to that. But I don't know, like I don't know. 'Cause like the weird thing about like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, that was like the whole Tomb Raider thing was like the reboot was about like a prequel to her becoming the Tomb Raider, which is weird because she was raiding tombs the whole time, but she wasn't the Tomb Raider yet. I don't know, it didn't really make a lot of sense. So like, are they going to continue on with that? And I like the actress that they had actually play Lara Croft in the games. I've seen her in a few other movies and shows too, and I liked her in those. So I thought she was really good. I thought the story was really good in them. I thought the games were awesome. Like I thought they were like, especially the first Tomb Raider, like that was the first, like one of the first games that like, it wasn't the first game to do it, but I feel like on that level it was one of the first games to do like the 3D Metroidvania games that have become very popular over like the last decade or so. Since those games come out, like we've seen like God of War. Like funny enough, Cory Barlog, the director of like the original God of War games and the new God of War, he was one of the main people on the reboot of Tomb Raider, and you could kind of see when you played God of War 2018, you could see like where a lot of the inspiration came from the Tomb Raider reboot into that. So I thought that was a really cool game, really fun. And then Rise of Tomb Raider, like the problem was I feel like Square Enix has really fucked up these games. Like Square Enix, like if it wasn't for Final Fantasy 14, I feel like this company would be in the toilet. They're just really bad at business. Like because I mean we're gonna talk about Strangers in Paradise here in a little bit. So like I remember like they considered Tomb Raider like a giant disappointment because they had the expectations were to sell 10 million copies in the first 2 months, which that's like games sell way better now than they did 10 years ago. And like not many games hit that mark today. I think it ended up selling like 3 million copies in the first like 3 months it was out or something like that, which would be wildly popular. That would be huge unless you're like
Yes,
Call of
what?
Duty or like you know if you're like unless you're one of the top tier franchises, like that has incredible numbers. And they were really disappointed. I think they laid off a bunch of people in the staff. And then we got Rise of Tomb Raider, but they had that weird like deal with Xbox to be exclusive on there, and nobody was really happy about that. I mean like I ended up like that's the reason I bought an Xbox One was actually to play the Rise of Tomb Raider. They ended up having a bundle like a few months later after the game came out, and I played it on there. But like because the Xbox One, you know, was never really, especially early in the generation, was not super popular. Nobody really played it, and then when it came out a year later on PS4, and no one really cared, so it didn't do well there. I think that was like a big bungle. And then Shadow of Tomb Raider, they kind of like gave to Eidos Montreal, so Crystal Dynamics to make the Avengers, and I feel like that was just a giant waste of both those studios' times. Avengers, we all know about the Avengers. Shadow of Tomb Raider. The problem is with these. What sucked was like they were given the like this is supposed to like continue the trilogy, like finalize the trilogy of this Lara Croft reboot, and like you're trying to give this established storyline to a studio that has nothing to do with this franchise, and continue this storyline. It's kind of like the Batman Origins thing, or like Bioshock 2, or I had another example and I lost it, but that kind of idea where like we see that where like another studio kind of gets this so they can get another version out faster while the main studio is working on something else or the next one because they want to it's not gonna be out fast enough, and like the games come out and they're always fine but they're never like there's never anything amazing. Like Bioshock 2 is a very good game, but it's it's just more of that. Like there's nothing spectacular about it. There's nothing special about it. Batman Origins, a very good game. Nothing really spectacular or special about it. And we see that time and time again when that happens. And that was probably in the storyline was like awful. I actively just hated like Lara Croft. Like, and it wasn't like, oh, she's supposed to be like you're supposed to like not really like her. No, she was just a bad character, and she was awful. And like I actively disliked her, and that entire game. And it just, I mean, the gameplay was fine, but like it was just nothing spectacular. It was fine. Rise of Tomb Raider was awesome, but nobody fucking played it because it had the weird exclusivity deal. So yeah, I'm hopeful that this happens, and I'm hopeful that it comes out, and I think it'd be great if they continue on the story. But I can almost understand why like the Square Enix kind of bungled this game 3 times. That maybe like move on and start anew, and now that Uncharted's not been around for, I mean, at this point, this game's probably 4 years away at the earliest because they're still like in like concept art stages here, and they probably don't even have like a story or anything like that. So, I mean, at that point, we're talking about a decade between Uncharted games. Yeah, you can pretty much do whatever you want, and probably I think people would be more excited if they go back to like there's fucking dinosaurs and the dual pistols and shit like that. I don't know. I don't know if you have any experience outside of like Tomb Raider, Gables. If there's anything you want to add to that. Sorry for the rambling.
Oh, no problem. Honestly, I don't really have too much to add to that conversation, other than the fact that, hey, if they do another reboot, Square Enix, I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all. How popular the franchise is now at its point in comparison to when the first reboot happened to it to recorrect kind of the same purpose, recorrect the series that definitely went off course after the first 3 games in the original PlayStation, and then going through its old rigmarole trying to find its identity in the PS2, 360, not the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube generation, and then it didn't stop until like about 2011, I think it was 2012. We actually got that reboot stuff, so that was like 10
2013.
years ago.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was. I
yeah,
remember it came out right before BioShock Infinite.
right, right.
2013 is like that secretly like we always talk about all those great like the great years of video games. 2013 is a sneaky great year for video games.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And the original like Tomb Raider reboot, that was one of those games.
Yeah.
And thinking about it retrospectively now, I mean that's over a decade and stuff, and now we're hearing about talks about another reboot in regards to the Tomb Raider series. I mean, hey, if they can find out some way to make the series better by refreshing it into another limelight, I mean, hell, more power to them. But
Yeah.
we're not going to hear or see any more about this type of game probably until like at least 2027.
Yeah, I feel like the earliest this game is 2026, but I mean it's crazy how like busy Crystal Dynamics is right now because we have one of like there's 3 studios. There's a San Francisco one that did the Avengers, and they're still doing stuff on that one. But I'm assuming that game's going to quietly be put to rest here soon. The one in Texas is the lead developer on Perfect Dark, and then I believe this one is in Seattle. The main
Yeah.
one that's going to be working on this one. So that's also going to be the case where Perfect Dark is a 2024 game probably. So you got to think they're focusing mostly on that, and then they're going to go full bore on Tomb Raider. Obviously, there's people that are like in early development going to have a lot of shit laid out, but yeah, like they're not going to go full bore in development into this game. They'll probably 2024, like late 2024 at the earliest. So, yeah, you're probably right. It's crazy at like we talked about and I've talked about and I understand it. Like a lot of these big games get announced like years away. Like we see this constantly and we talk about like, oh, they're just billboards for people to come work for them. And I get it, but it's crazy. Like we have all these games that have been announced the last couple of years that are so far away that we're probably not going to play them on the current consoles that we have right now.
Exactly. Good case in point, Elder Scrolls like Skyrim.
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls like 6.
Yeah.
The game after Starfield. We're definitely not going to see that probably until another generation.
Yeah, like they might come out on these consoles that we have, these new consoles that we just bought last year, or I guess just over a year ago now. They'll probably come out for these consoles, but they'll be that mid-generation kind of game. That's like how far away so many of these games are. It's wild. I was thinking about that today. I'm just like, fuck, man. Like all these like cool games are getting announced. It's like I'm probably never gonna play these on PS5, so or Xbox Series X. So I don't know. Moving on though, Gables, to another game that was announced. Max Payne 1 and 2 are getting remade by Remedy. These are the guys that originally made the games. It's being published by Rockstar, who owns the rights to Max Payne, because they were the publishers for them originally. No update on like 3, but I guess it's weird. I guess like I've only ever played 3, and I really liked 3. I thought 3 was awesome. A little short, but it was actually a really fun game. But it was just like I guess like I never played the first 2 games, but it was just widely different from the first 2 games. But I don't know. I fucking love the shit out of that game. So I don't know. I mean, it's coming as one game. They said it's gonna be a full bore remake, is what they're saying. They're doing it. I believe it's called the Northlight engine. Is like the engine that Control was made in.
Okay.
Good. Remedy's got a ton of shit going on. Like they're making Control 2. They're doing Alan Wake 2. They're doing a multiplayer game. I believe they're doing a multiplayer Control game. I believe they're doing a game for Tencent as well. They got a lot of shit.
Yes, they do.
Someone compared them to Platinum recently, and I'm like, fuck, you're right. We're like, they had that game called Crossfire X that came out to Xbox and shit earlier this year that was just god awful. And everybody's like, well, like that's why they're complaining. Like, there's like the games, like there's the Platinum games that are like that they're making because they're like really excited about, and then there's the games that they make to pay the bills. Looking at like TMNT and shit like that. And like like this definitely like Platinum is turning into that, or Remedy is turning into that, where like we're gonna like which game are we gonna get? Are we gonna get the game that they're really excited about, or are we gonna get the game that's just paying some bills? So I don't know. I mean, they got a lot going on. But they've definitely grown over the last few years. So I don't know. I mean, Gables, what's your experience with Max Payne?
Okay, so the experience I have with Max Payne is really limited, honestly. I've only played a little bit of the third game back
Okay.
on the PS3 when that initially came out and stuff. I think I played about, God, maybe a couple hours of it, and I
You probably
really couldn't get
you
into it.
played like 2/3 of that game. It was not a very long game.
No, no. Obviously, you've seen my trophy count for that one, but yeah, I didn't really put too much emphasis like on the third game in the series. I've always heard the first two are fantastic. I
Yeah.
heard so much like good accolades back around 20 years ago and stuff, like around the 2001 to 2002, 2003. I mean, back-to-back games and stuff. The whole elements of bullet time,
Yeah,
plus
the whole
like
time.
the story in regards to both games are pretty much like solid from what I understood. But at the same point, it's like this is interesting. Remedy is taking on a Rockstar IP in regards to the Max Payne games. Kind of makes me wonder, in the future, potentially Rockstar may want to go forth and maybe outsource another one of their IPs and stuff like that to another studio.
Yeah.
But well, no, gamer can dream, right?
Yeah.
But at the same point, it's like I am happy that they're going back to the well with Max Payne because that series definitely has more potential, especially if you go through with a remaster. And hey, who's to say?
Well,
Maybe if this
this isn't a remaster, this is a remake.
remake. Okay.
So yeah, like this is like think Resident Evil 2.
Okay. All right. So if it's like a Resident Evil 2 style of like a remake and stuff for the first two games, I mean, that's even more of an incentive to go forth and go back to them because not only were they classics back then, but introduced into this generation with new coats of paint, new accessibility measures, the what is current for modern times, and also gamers get to experience that same type of feel that fell in love with back then, or even have this chance to experience the first time. I mean, hey, that's a good thing by me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely be pumped to check them out. Those are like, I remember like I worked at a video game store like from like 2006 to like I worked like 2008, like 2 years.
Yeah.
And I remember always seeing like there was always a ton of Max Payne copies because so many
Yep.
people bought it. We always had a bunch of used copies of it. And I always remember looking at it, but I was just like I only played sports games, JRPGs, and I was a shitty Nintendo fanboy. So, yeah. So I did not play those games back in the day. So there's a lot of great games I just missed out on the generation because of my shittiness as a fanboy. Don't be a fanboy, people. It sucks. But moving on, Gables. Unless there's anything else you want to add to that.
Nah.
Okay. I don't have a lot to add to this one, Gables. If you do, cool. There's new Secret Monkey Island in development. Ron Gilbert's coming back, who was the creator of it. He did the first two, and like I think did part of three. Like, I didn't realize there's like 5 of these like games, like not including like the Telltale one and stuff like that.
Right.
There's actually like 5 like games from this. It's actually he did say that like they're not like they're gonna count 3, 4, and 5, even though he didn't really have much to do with 3, it had nothing to do with 4 and 5. Like everything is still in the universe. And now said there's a trailer and it's coming this year.
That's kind of crazy to think about because the Monkey Island games, well established, well known, classic PC games, adventure games, the point and click adventure types and stuff like that. I think they were old Sierra games, if I'm not mistaken.
Lucasfilms.
Lucasfilms. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yes, Lucasfilms did help create those games. I've only had the experience of playing through the first one on Xbox Live Arcade when that was still.
I played it on there too. Yeah.
It was a fun game. I mean, it was really adventurous. There was a lot of humorous points and stuff like that. I can remember the specific part in the first game to where you had to think of various insults while battling like pirates and stuff like that, and had to choose different types of scenarios. And you either won a duel or lost a duel based upon that, what type of responses you would do. But I also remember that game being incredibly kind of vague in regards to what type of like what solution will go to what or what spot you need to go with what because adventure games in general, I kind of get frustrated with, especially the point and click ones, because the older ones are fairly hard to try to figure out, in my honest opinion.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that type of person. So, oh, I need to think through. Oh, maybe I should just use this right here. Then it just de-evolves into me like spending a couple hours trying to figure. Oh, okay, this thing goes here, that thing goes there. But what the hell? I'm on this puzzle here for about a couple hours, and I can't figure out what this goes.
Yeah, those games are like made for like using message boards. And then like you had to have like the user manual, like the instruction manual, and like there was like you had to like solve things through that.
Right. But Yeah, I'm fairly excited there's a new Monkey Island game that's going to be coming out this year, because it's something of a dormant franchise now, considering that we've had a few games that dropped on the PC, then reintroduced Xbox Live Arcade. There were the Telltale ones that were on the WiiWare, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And seeing new games like in the span of the Monkey Island stuff from the same person that helped create those games to begin with, like Ron Gilbert. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting take. I
Yeah.
would love to see a modern day like Monkey Island.
Yeah. It's cool that like because like the Disney just brought back like Lucasfilms after they got rid of them when they bought like Star Wars and stuff like that. So it's cool they're bringing it back, and like this is like the first big project they've done is bring back like it sounds like almost immediately they like that was like this was the first like priority for them was get Ron Gilbert, make a new Secret of Monkey Island. He did talk about that they've been working on it for 2 years, and there was like an old tweet that Ron Gilbert had where he's like, if I ever announce a new Monkey Island game, I'm gonna announce it on April 1st. And he ended up announcing it April 1st was on Friday. He announced it on Monday, so I was like, just missed it. So that was pretty funny. So a lot of people were like wondering if it was like a joke because of that, but it ends up it's real. That's awesome. I'm happy for people that are fans of that franchise, and there's a lot of very happy people for that. So it's always awesome to hear, even though like we're not fans of this thing. It's always awesome when cool shit happens in video games. So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So moving on, Gables. Mario Golf 64 is coming to Switch expansion pack.
Yes, it is.
Cool. What say you, Gables?
Well, you know what? I mean, granted, Nintendo usually drip feeds game releases anyway in the Switch online service, and honestly, Mario Golf is definitely a fun game of my past. That was just one of those games that happened about like between like big releases that oh, you know what? I'm gonna have some fun with this with the family and this and that, and that was the game where I subsequently got so angry with Bowser because of how fucking bullshit he was. That once I finally beat him and stuff like that, after trying so many different times and stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to do that ever again. But still, Mario Golf is a fantastic N64 game. But at the same point, you know, it comes off the heels of the past couple of months. Nintendo has been slowly dripping their retro games on the service. I mean, Earthworm Jim and like a couple of the other games like not last week, but like for the Super Nintendo, NES.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I'm not sure. I think it was like either a couple weeks ago now, or like
it was
maybe
last week. That was last week.
Yeah, last week. Yeah,
very last. Yeah, just last week. Yeah. So next week we're getting Mario Golf. So.
Yeah, it's kind of unusual that they would announce a close knit of like game releases on their Switch online service so closely. But at the same point,
they put out more than one game on this service in 1 month. Woo.
Yeah, really.
Well, I guess to be fair, it was the end of March, and now we're in April. So really, we only got one game in March, and now we're getting one game. We got 3 games in March, at the end of March, and we got this game in mid-April. So
what's kind of interesting about that is from that blurb from when they announced the N64 expansion pack and the list of games that they showcase in their little image in their introduction video, there's only 2 that haven't come out yet. One of them being Kirby 64, and like the other one, I believe, being Pokemon Snap. So both of those games haven't been released yet, but probably are going to in the corresponding months to come. Yeah. Considering it's been like a pattern that Nintendo wants to go for to release a major N64 game or something like that, schedule that. I mean, February, I think it was Majora's Mask. March, obviously, was like F-Zero X, I think it was. And then, I'm trying to think.
April was...
and then April's Mario Golf.
Yeah, so you gotta assume that's May and June then. We're getting those games, so... And then...
Fun fact.
What?
Fun fact about that F-Zero X and stuff. That's actually one of the only major first-party Nintendo games in the 64 I hadn't played up until, like, last week. Well, that's just a little bit of a blurb right there, because, granted, for the listeners listening at home, if you weren't around in the N64 era, think of it this way. You know how, like, you have, like, over 1,000 games or whatsoever, like, on platforms that's like the eShop or, like, the PlayStation Network or, like, freaking Xbox Live Arcade or even Steam? Well, back in the day when the N64 was out, there was only a estimated not just estimated, it was like 296
Yeah.
US releases
Yeah.
around that time. And what's kind of interesting to note that a lot of them were licensed games that can probably never be
Yeah.
re-released
Oh yeah. That's
due
what
to shit.
that's what sucks is like a lot of the best games from like the late '90s and like early 2000s and shit like that PS1, PS2 generation that we would want, we can't have because of licensing issues, which understandably is,
Exactly.
you know, we
Unless you want to go with like licensing agreements, say like with an EA or like
well, the problem
Ubisoft.
isn't like you have to get the agreement from like the publishers. The problem is you have to get licensing agreements from like say NFL Street or
Yep.
WWF No Mercy. You have to go get license agreements from every single person that's in the game. So all the athletes are there in the game. You have
Yeah,
to get all of them to agree, and then you got to cut them a check. So
that's
understandably,
the thing.
it's a lot of extra work for probably not a lot of benefit. It's like it'd be just probably easier and cheaper to just make a new game. Um,
Yeah, at that point, I mean, Tyler brings up a great point because, like, for back in the day, some of the best games in the N64 were like some of the licensed, like, sports games or licensed,
Blitz
like,
and WWF Raw
yeah,
or No Mercy and WCW games. Like yeah, so
the
the
WCW games,
Volkswagen
yeah,
bug game people really like. Um,
Beetle Adventure Racing, yeah,
Beetle Adventure, yeah. So um, I wonder. I wonder what if the June game Gables is GoldenEye, and we get the.
that wouldn't surprise me.
I think that's when we get it. We get the Microsoft announces the remaster that we've been rumored forever that they made 12 years ago, and
Hmm.
then also at the same time Nintendo puts it out on their service. So
You know, that makes too much sense, which I feel like that there is a lot of
that's a
merit to it.
that's a good point, Gables. You said it makes too much sense, so now it's not going to happen. You're right. That sounds like yeah. Nintendo's like, you know what, this makes a lot of sense. Let's not do that. So you made a good point. You talked me out of it, Gables. Uh,
Well, let's think about it this way too. You know, it's like what N64 games that are left could potentially come onto this service now. I
Smash
mean, hell,
Brothers.
I mean, Smash Bros is a given. I mean, that's definitely
Yeah,
one.
but I mean, I don't think they even put it on the Wii U. So
Let's see. I'll have to double check on that. I think they did,
did they?
but at the same point, I need to double check that. I think it was only the Wii, the
Yeah, I don't think
Virtual
it ever
Console.
came to the Wii U because like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. They're very weird about that shit. You're like, I don't really know. Like, yeah, we talk about like a lot. It's like licensed stuff that you want to bring. I'm sure there's somebody like screaming at us right now. Um,
Oh, there's a couple of different ones I could think of off the top of my head. One being Mischief Makers, which is a classic from Atlas. You can always go forth and like Atlas had a couple of interesting games on the N64. One of them, the most notable I feel like, is Mischief Makers, which is kind of like an action sort of like platformer game that has like some puzzle elements. Never played the game personally, but it is one of those kind of underrated N64 games from what I've heard about around the rumblings. Another one I could think of is like the Beetle Adventure Racing, obviously, which I'm
yeah.
not sure if that would actually go because of the licensing stuff or
Um, is
in
Wave
regards
Race
to
on
like
there?
Wave Race. No, I don't believe Wave Race is on there.
Is Star Fox
Wave Race
60,
64 is on there.
Star Fox 64?
Yeah, Star Fox is on
Okay.
there.
Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark, no. That's a
Okay.
that's a good point. There's a lot of Rareware games that have
Yeah.
not made their way on to that N64 service yet, other than Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
You have the sequel, Banjo-Tooie. You have like Jet Force Gemini, Perfect Dark, and the game that you just aforementioned, GoldenEye.
Yeah. Diddy Kong Racing.
Yes, that has
Um,
not been released on there.
Mario Tennis, Yoshi
Mario
Story,
Tennis. Yoshi's Story is already on there,
the
but Mario
Pokemon
Tennis.
Stadium games,
Oh, that would be interesting.
1080
Though I
snowboarding,
wonder, 1080 snowboarding. I could see that potentially being on there.
maybe Turok,
Turok's already on eShop though.
Pokemon Puzzle League. I'll buy the service for that.
I'll be honest with you. I would love to see Pokemon Puzzle League on there
Yeah.
because that's a pretty damn good version of that puzzle game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I mean, there's games. Um, just a matter of like if they put them on there because like with the Pokemon Stadium games, I don't even think even came to Wii. If I
Dude,
remember.
I can argue with you that we probably got like most if not like majority of the best RPGs on the N64 on that online stuff because quite literally there's like maybe 2 or 3 RPGs in general on the N64 in general, one
No.
being Paper Mario and the other being
No. Mm-mm.
like
Mm-mm.
like Ogre Battle 64.
Nope. Gables. Gables don't. Mm-mm. Skies of Arcadia Legends is not on the 64, so therefore you lose. Tales of
Yeah.
Symphonia, not on 64, therefore you lose. Rogue Galaxy, not on the N64, so therefore you lose.
Oh,
Final Fantasy
yes, I
VII,
understand.
not on the N64. So boom.
That's also true. But at that same point, it's oh god, now I'm just racking my brain just trying to think of anything else that I
I
could
mean,
think of that
there's
could
like 8 or
potentially.
9 games there that we talked about. So I mean,
Yeah.
if they do
Yeah.
one a month, they can stretch this out for just enough to get people to buy another year. So,
So, like in total, realistically, out of these 296 estimated US releases, we probably could potentially see possibly 50 at most, maybe theoretically.
30 maybe.
Yeah,
There's probably like 15
yeah.
now, give or take, and I think we just named like 8 or 9 that are feasible.
I'll be honest, man.
I
I,
mean,
I think I
the
was just generous with saying 50.
Pilot Wing 64 is one I didn't think of.
Yeah, that's
So
true
I mean, there's
too.
probably like another 10 that they can like quality ones they can put out, but there's probably gonna be like another 15 or 16. We're like, what the fuck is that game? Like,
Dude, this is literally gonna have me go forth and just go on a Wikipedia page or all the releases of all the games and stuff like that and just check mark off. As long as it's not anything stupid like Superman 64. But I can just imagine that.
I would love that. I would respect the fuck out of Nintendo if they did that. If they
I wonder how the
actually,
fuck they would pay Titus Interactive, dude.
they have to pay. Well, fuck them. They have to pay WB probably. I would respect the shit out of that. That would be amazing. I hope they do that now. I want that. Who would have thought the most exciting part of the news this week is the possibility of Superman 64 coming to the fucking the Nintendo expansion pack. I really love this idea. I will buy it. That will make me buy it. I will buy that out of respect for that.
Because you actually want to try and play it and see
Oh
if
God,
this
no!
game's
I'm not going to
actually-
play it, but I respect it so much. I want to support that decision. I will pay money to support great decisions, and my friends, would be a great decision. And I respect that. So yeah,
I want to endure one of the worst games of all time on my Switch.
I'm not going to play it. I just want, like I said, I'm just going to buy it. Just like I'm the guy that I paid the $25 to buy the Mario Kart DLC separately.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay the $50 to rent it for a year. So moving on, Gables, though, to some other news here. Well, not really news. It's kind of been in our show notes for a couple weeks here. I've been I figured keep it in here. I was going to talk about it, and then we've had some bigger news going on. So we did this at the beginning of beginning of this year. We talked about Q1 games. We did a whole separate podcast on it, and that was like my plan initially. It was like, this could be a fun separate podcast, but like I'm kind of glad we didn't do that now because not really a lot going on this week. Even though I guess we did actually spend a good chunk of time on that. But I thought it'd be fun to go through the kind of the Q2 games for this year, and we kind of talk about some of the bigger ones here. I'm not gonna mention everything. I'm using the GameInformer.com. They do a really good list every year, but they put literally everything coming out that has dates, so we're not gonna obviously mention everything. But I thought it'd be kind of be fun to do that. So obviously some of the things, it is April 8th as we're recording this, so some of these things have already come out. Gables, I'll read through some of these. If you want, I'll talk about the ones I want to talk about. But if there's something you want to say, stop me. So first up here, this came out on Tuesday. Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. I'm really excited for this. I was actually looking forward to this initially. The reviews coming out being very positive. I used to really like the Lego games, but obviously like a lot of people kind of burnt out on them. They're kind of just kind of coming out and they just kind of more of the same. So I ended up, I forgot to mention at the top of the show, they had a buy two get one free sale going on this week on like Amazon and Target and GameStop. I ended up picking up Strangers of Paradise, which we'll talk about later. I picked up Ghostwire Tokyo, and then I was trying to find like a third game to pick up, and I couldn't think of anything. And this is on Tuesday, and I totally forgot that fucking the new Lego Star Wars came out. Totally blanked it. I thought it was coming out on Friday. I thought it was coming out today, so I didn't think I could buy it. So I literally just looked up what had the best trade-in value on GameStop because I'm like, I'll just fucking flip it for trade credit. Elden Ring had it, so I picked up Elden Ring. So that's the only reason I bought it, because it was like $35 to trade in. I'm like, I'm getting it for free, so fuck it, I'll just flip it for $35.
There you go.
If I would have realized that Skywalker Saga was coming out on Tuesday when I bought the free buy two going free, I would have bought this game. But I'll just pick it up later. But I'm really excited for this one. Reviews have been really good for it. So yeah, it's like this year continued to be pretty good, Gables. Anything you want to say on top of that?
Oh no, nothing really contributing in terms of the Lego game.
Okay. MLB the Show 22 came out on April 5th. It's on everything, including Switch. It's also on Game Pass. I have it downloaded. I was gonna at least check it out. I played the last year's one on Game Pass for a little bit last year. I don't know. I'll dabble in it for a little bit.
Yeah, I did some of the same thing as well and stuff. I
Yeah.
think I tried a little bit of a pickup like game in regards to the show 22 and stuff like that. It's not too bad,
Oh no,
honestly. I
the
mean,
the
yeah.
games are great. Yeah. I got really into it at the beginning of last generation. Especially when you can like bring your character over every year. And I've been tempted to like go buy the old one and just like pick up my old character because like I put like I don't know probably 100 hours to that guy and had him maxed out and it's like I don't really. It's like the NBA 2K thing where it's like you gotta invest so much time and really well like NBA 2K you gotta invest a ton of money to like get him good and it's just like I don't want to do that every year so I might just like go back and buy that version that I stopped at and just continue on from that with that one. Um, Chrono Cross: The Radical Dreamers that came out yesterday, April 7th. I don't really know, Gables. You're like I believe when we did our favorite video games of all time, you had Chrono Cross as your favorite game of all time. Uh,
That wasn't Chrono Cross. It was actually Chrono Trigger,
Trigger,
but
okay, yeah, but the same franchise.
it's a part of the same
Yeah.
franchise, honestly.
So
Because Chrono Cross is like the spiritual kind of sequel to Chrono Trigger. But yeah, I am definitely interested in playing Radical Dreamers. I know there are some issues right at this moment in terms of like kind of a little bit of hiccups, a little bit of bugs and stuff like that, but it's still getting like decent reviews in that regards. The game itself is fantastic. It's a game that was one of the best in regards to I think the late '90s and that when it first did release, and for good reason too. Solid combat, solid story, multiple different characters you can use, and on top of that, it's like it includes a never released game in the U.S. in regards to a Satellaview game and freaking Super Nintendo Satellaview game that was in Japan only. But it's just like one of those like visual novels. Quintessentially, that's what it is. Radical Dreamers. But yeah, I'm more interested. It's $20. I definitely would love to pick that one up, especially if I can get it on physical form,
yeah, I
which I
think
could
it's
probably import it.
yeah. I don't know if they might do like a limited run thing, but yeah, it's on everything. Switch, PC, Xbox One, PS4. So, um, our favorite game to make fun of every time we hear about it, Gables. Godfall Ultimate Edition is out now.
God,
Maybe the greatest trailer of all time. Where they just randomly start playing fucking Run the Jewels over their fucking trailer. That made no sense. Never not funny to me. That came out yesterday. House of Dead remake came out on Switch yesterday. It's like $30 or something like that. And I've heard it's not great. So
yeah, I've heard the same thing as well. I mean, it's sad because those light gun games were pretty popular when they first came out, like even at arcades and this and that, light gun peripherals. But yeah, this is like one of the first major kind of remake letdowns of the year.
yeah, yeah, I heard yeah, I heard it's very expensive, and then the problem is those kind of games are like really good. They worked really well because they were built as arcade games.
Yep.
When it's like, well, when you play it at home, whereas like you can just do endless continues, and you could beat it in like 20 minutes. So, and then also you get a pretty shitty port of it on top of that. So, I'm mentioning this game, Gables, only because it's funny to me. On April 20th to the Switch, we get Star Wars: The Force Unleashed as a port, not of the 360 PS3 version, of the Wii version. And that's the only reason I want to mention it because I just think it's fucking hilarious.
I think it's hilarious too. You don't
Yeah,
even port the good versions; you just port the one that cut out story and like all the types of
yeah,
parts to begin with. I mean,
yeah.
who the fuck asked for this?
Yeah, right. Like the like by far, it's not even like a bad port from PS3 to 360 to Wii. It was just it was awfully done. So you get yeah, like
Yeah.
I said, you cuts out part the waggle stuff was awful. The game didn't play. It was not good at all when it came out in the Wii, and now they're just gonna port it over. It's just they're running out of things for Star Wars games to port.
Especially if you really want to experience that game in and of itself. I mean, more power to you. But yeah, there are better options to
Yeah,
play that game. Check out the 360 or the PS3
yeah.
version
You
if you
can
if you are wanting to play that game so badly. My
Ye-
recommendation: you have an Xbox One, fucking get it on the 360.
yeah, if you have an Xbox console, any of the current, the last, or the one before that generation, you can play that game now on for
Hmm.
probably cheaper than what that's going to cost you, and
Absolutely.
it's going to work a lot better. And it's actually
No
it's a
shit.
very it was a very good game, and it's just that second one was just not great. It was just rushed out, and it's just gave it two different, like I was talking about at the beginning with Tomb Raider, like gave it to a different studio, and they had like 9 months to make a game, and it came out, and it wasn't terrible. It was just not really that good. And also like totally like they had to redo the ending of the first game to make so they could put Darth Vader. It was really dumb. Coming out at the end of the month, Gables, April 29th, Nintendo Switch Sports. How
I'm
excited are you for
actually
this
fairly
one?
excited.
Okay.
I'm actually fairly excited for it because, for one, it's more or less like it's more or less kind of reminiscent to the classic Wii Sports and stuff, to
Oh
where
yeah.
you have your games. They're fairly simple, straightforward to get into and stuff. I'm definitely liking how it's being pretty much adjusted to kind of like the Switch Joy Cons and this and that. It's just going to be. It feels like to me it's going to be a good, solid, fun stuff with a group of people and stuff. And I feel like it's going to be doing better than what initially we may think it may do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm interested in this one actually. I think it's only $40 if you want that one. I feel like it's 50 if you
Yeah.
want the like that comes with like the leg and armband or whatever.
Yep.
Um, So yeah, I don't know. I might check if it comes out. It's really good, but I feel like for me personally, like I think that game's gonna be really good and probably a lot of fun for people. But it's definitely one of those things where like for me, I think I'm gonna put like I would play it for a few hours and I'll never touch it again. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that definitely does have that feeling.
but for $40 though, that makes it a little more palatable. So, I'll wait and see. Um, Gables, come up, now we're into May here. This game you just drafted on our Fans Critic League, which we'll talk
Hmm.
about here shortly. Trek to Yami, I believe is how you say it. It's coming out May
Yep.
5th. This game looks fantastic.
Absolutely, it does. When that trailer came out a few days ago in regards to 15 minutes of gameplay, I watched that thoroughly and it looked really freaking impressive.
Coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, absolutely, May 5th. It's coming to Game Pass and stuff. People who have Game Pass right now, definitely, from Tyler and I's opinion, probably the best deal in gaming right now.
Best deal in
But
gaming.
at the same point, it's like it feels like this game is simple to go forth and play. It definitely has that interesting concept to where you don't feel like you have to do a lot of backtracking. It's just like a straightforward sort of type of game to where you get to go to a set piece and stuff, have your battles, do this and do that. I do love the aesthetics of it. I do love the fact that it's sort of like almost like a rescue slash kind of revenge story where you're trying to rescue your squad mates and stuff like that. And from what some of us have already seen from this trailer and stuff, it looks like this is going to be mindless fun,
Oh yeah,
and I'm all for that.
yeah, definitely. Like Devolver always makes really, I think, really good games. And I've talked about the past, but they make really good games, but they always click for me. Like Death Store definitely clicked for me as one of my top 10 games of last year, but this one's definitely looking like it's gonna click for me. Moving up here to May 13th. Um, excuse me, I had a burp there. Still burping. Whew. I'm drinking a little too much. Evil Dead the game. I'm really pumped. I grew up. I love the Evil Dead franchise. I've loved the movies as a kid. Used to watch them all the time, even when I was way too young. Remember growing up, with my parents had them on VHS, and I'd watch them over and over and over again. I even loved Ash versus the Evil Dead, the TV series they made on Stars. That was
Yeah.
out a few years ago. That show was awesome, and they abruptly canceled it, which I was
Aw.
really bummed. Even they left it on the cliffhanger. I fucking love that franchise. It's like the 4v1 type of, like we see, like kind of like Dead by Daylight or like the
Yep.
Friday the 13th or Predator games where like I love those games. Like it's like the Ghostbusters ones coming out later this year. Like I have a blast with these games. The problem though is like you have to have people to play with. It's like
Yeah,
as much
absolutely.
fun as I have like Predator, like playing by myself was not a great time. And like when we played it like a year later on Extra Life, um, it was just like the only people left playing it were like the hardcores, and it was like straight up not having a good time right now when like we're just two casuals
No,
jumping in.
we
So
just played like a couple of games in that and
Yeah.
that predator hunting ground stuff, and we just like no, this ain't fun at all.
Yeah, like it was a blast when I first played it, but I was like it's hard to like it's just hard with those games. I was like it's online, and so it's just tough to jump in. I guess there's gonna be a single player to this though, so if it comes out and
Good.
that if people are saying good things about that, I'll definitely check it out. If it's, especially I don't know what the price point is gonna be, but if it's a little cheaper, I'll probably give it. I'll definitely give it a try because I love and like I got Bruce Campbell come back to do the voice. I hope they
Well,
bring
that's a given.
yeah. Oh yeah, you have to. But I'm happy that like, they at least they put the money into to bring him back for it. Um, and I hope they bring back some of the characters from the TV show because that'd be awesome. Because that was actually a really good show. That unfortunately just not a lot of people watched. But moving on here, Gables. Oh boy, that's pretty much it for May. And then we go on to June here. Mario Strikers Battle League coming out June 10th.
Mm-hmm.
After we talked about this time when they first announced it. I loved Mario Strikers on the GameCube. I didn't really care for the one Supercharged on Wii. I'm super pumped. Like I'm really excited for this game. It's just a matter of like the content is there because I talk about over and over again on the Switch here. Where like Nintendo puts out these really fun, technically fun games to play, but then there's just never a lot of reasons to continue to play them.
Absolutely. There's been
So
like kind of a result from like say Mario Tennis Aces to like Mario Golf Super Rush in that regards
Mario
to where
Golf, Arms,
yeah,
yeah.
Arms, yeah.
There's just wasn't
Yeah,
like
I could agree with
the games are really good, but there's just like there's nothing to keep coming you. There's not the content is is light, and that's always a problem with these games. Like if there's there's not a reason to keep coming back after like you do the arcade or you do this and that you like you play the courses once or it's just like okay well I've done it. So that's
as long as it's not like a shoehorn over elaborate like single player mode, I
yeah like the
as long
Mario
as that's not inside there. I mean, that's part of the reason why their last Mario the sports game, like a Super Rush, kind of was like a step down in my honest opinion, because the gameplay aspect of it was fun. The whole speed golf thing, interesting gimmick though, but it really wasn't for me. But in regards to like the single player just aspect, I thought it
yeah
just really didn't fit all
the
that
campaign
well.
was literally just a 4-hour tutorial.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, it really was.
yeah, and there was only like I think there's only like 4 courses, and then like Mario Tennis that campaign was just awful. So yeah, it's just a matter of like like is this worth me putting $60 down and I'm gonna keep playing this game for like I said more than a weekend? And that's like if it's 40, if it came out for 40, like I said, like I was just saying with like Nintendo's Switch Sports or what it's called, Wii Sports Resorts. I'm gonna call it Wii Sports. That's what it is. Like $40, like the pop down, and if I play that for a weekend or two, that's a little more palatable. That's a little more worth it. But for $60 for this game, and it's like if I play it for a weekend, okay.
It really depends.
Yeah.
It just really depends on if they want to elaborate past the arcade mode and also past a lot of the random elements of the online.
I always thought about Nintendo could shit out a 7 out of 10 like it's nothing. It's just like how much effort do they want to put in it to make it an 8 or a 9. So yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful, but we'll have to wait and see. Coming out on that same day, June 10th, The Quarry, game I talked about a couple weeks ago. This is the people that made Until Dawn, and they did the Dark Anthology games. I raved over the last 6 years, and like a lot of people, I think it's 6 years, 5 years. It was 7 years. It was 2015 Until Dawn came out. I love Until Dawn. I'm a huge fan of that game. Dark Anthology, I've talked about over and over and over again about how it's been getting better. Last year's game actually crack my top 10 list. So yeah, and this is like the first, like this is like the spiritual successor to Until Dawn, like a full-fledged. Like the other games are the Dark Anthology games are like $30. This is actually a $70, a full price $70 game. But it seems like they're going full bore with this one, putting all the effort into it. So I am incredibly excited for this one. I've already paid it off at GameStop. That's how excited for this one. This one I am. So this will be a day one buy, and it works out that this is the Friday going into my week off. So
yes,
really pumped for that. So it's not gonna be like this. Probably be like a 6-hour game, but still, it's still exciting. And I know you haven't played this, so I'm assuming you don't have much to add to that one, Gables. And then really last but not least, well, might be least, I don't know. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes coming out June 24th to the Switch. I don't know.
Honestly, it's like another Muso game. I'm not really too excited to like about it, even though it has like Fire Emblem Three Houses. It's one of those games where come close to its release, it really depends upon the content of what they're going to divulge and stuff, if I'm going to get excited about it or not. If not, then I could easily see myself passing this
Yeah.
game and just going doing something else.
Yeah, like I actually even bought Fire Emblem Warriors when it came out on the
Yeah.
Wii on the Switch, and it was a good game. It was just like it was more of like Hyrule Warriors, but it was like it's Fire Emblem. And I'm not a Fire Emblem guy, so it was like definitely like I love Hyrule Warriors. I can't talk. Hyrule Warriors. That was really hard for me to
Fire
say.
Emblem Warriors.
But yeah, well, I was saying like Hyrule Warriors I really like because it's just like I love Zelda, so it's just
Yep.
it was just fan fiction for Zelda, but just less sex. Um, and yeah, Fire Emblem Warriors was that. So this is more of that, but I did not like Age of Calamity. It was just a bad game. So hopefully this is better than that one. But that's gonna wrap up for that. Like, unfortunately, a lot of a couple of the bigger games, like we talked about recently, were Advanced Wars got delayed. It was supposed to come out today, but that got delayed because of everything going on in Ukraine. And then Forspoken was supposed to come out at the end of May, and that got delayed to October 11th. So kind of like two of the bigger games of the quarter got pushed out. So kind of a weird quarter, but it's been a crazy first 3 months. Like you and I have played three really great games. Two of those games in common, and then I got Horizon, you got Elden Ring, and that quarter.
Yep.
I just bought three other really great games from the first quarter, and then that's not including like I was considering buying WWE 2K22, and then we just got Lego Star Wars. So it's been a really good first like 3 months in a week
absolutely has.
of this year. So like there's 8 really good quality games that came out in the first 90 days of the year. So we got pretty spoiled, and it's been pretty good. So now it's just time to catch up. One thing here before we move on to what we've been playing, Gables, I did want to talk about our Fantasy Critic League here.
All right.
So a couple things. We're gonna take a little bit of a break here after this because like I've been talking about a lot, and I told you guys I didn't want to make it a weekly thing, but because it was just so many games coming out in the first quarter, we've been talking about almost weekly. But like if you look here, if you can see if I'm doing this correctly, you can see our upcoming releases. Nobody has anything coming out until the end of April. Gables has 3 games coming out. So we have Nintendo Switch Sports coming out April 29th. We talked about Trek of Yomi, whatever, May 5th. And then Mario Strikers Battle League coming out June 10th. So we have nothing. We have 2 games coming out in the next 2 months. So obviously we're not going to talk about this too much until then. And then it kind of in June, we got some more stuff going on. And then it's kind of after that, it's kind of we're just waiting on dates for stuff. So not a lot going on for a while. As of right now, I'm currently winning. I have 100 and let me scroll down the bottom here, 166 points. Gables has 144 or 114 points rather. But I do have 15 games released so far. He has 8. But we've had some updates on everything going on. So right now, Gables, he won some biddings on some stuff here. So he only has 2 spots left.
Yes.
But we have 9 more months left in the year. So I'm playing the waiting game here. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, 6 spots left. So I'm going to kind of hold out because we still have like Summer Games Fest and I'm sure other announcements. And then we're going to have some delays possibly. So
I'm curious though, how much did you actually go forth and spend to win the games that you got?
I think the Quarry I put like $8 down for, and Gotham Knights I put like $10 down for.
So, okay.
So I didn't go too crazy.
What was interesting?
But I way
No,
overbid you.
Crazy.
I did way overbid you on some of those.
Yes, you did. But yeah, I thought it was interesting though. It's like I kind of figured that you would go forth and take a couple of the different ones that I had went through and bid on and stuff like that. The question was how many of them were you going to
Oh, how many? I'm sorry. Well, you outbid me on Strikers. Live Alive, you've outbid me on Scarlet, and I bid on Scarlet and Violet, but you outbid me on that one. Tachia, I did not. Switch Sports, I didn't. I think I put like $2 down just to be like maybe you only bid $1. I'll put $2 down. And then Truckiyami, I didn't bid on. So.
Yeah. I kind of figured that for a couple of them you were going to try to bid on, like the Truckiyami and like the
I consider that
Nintendo Wii, the Wii Sports result, the Wii Sports like dealing and stuff. But the thing was, I would have been perfectly content if you did take all of them in that regards because But at the same point, I got about 3 at the exchange, and I only wasted like about $3 in total.
Yeah. So if we
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, at that mind frame and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, well, there are some decent games that were coming out towards the end of April, the beginning of May, and like all this stuff like that. I'm like, okay, let's see if I can go forth and try to secure. And I secured like about like 3 games out of that whole stint and stuff, and I got 2 spots. And I'm at that same spot where you're at, where I'm biding my time. The past 2 weeks, including this week, we haven't bid on a single game. That definitely
Mhm.
is on purpose, since there is sort of a lull going on right now.
Yeah.
But once summer heats up a bit, there will be more game releases, and hopefully it's going to be that second half that we're going to be figuring out which other big games are going to be released inside there. So who
Yeah.
knows? We
Yep.
may see releases. We may see go forth and release a couple of games ourselves.
Yeah.
It
So
has that possibility.
yeah. We do have the policy where you can't drop games that we drafted. The first 20 games we drafted, and we have 32 spots. Gables has 29 filled. I have 26 filled. The
Mhm.
the ones that we bid on, we can drop if they get delayed
Yes,
out of the year. But
absolutely.
once reviews come out, we can't drop them.
I think we have a minimum of like
We
how
get
many
three.
games?
We get 3 drops.
3. But
Yeah.
that's after we've like
After
that's
the
like the ones that we drafted. Like,
No, the ones we drafted we can't drop. The ones we bid on we
okay,
can drop. So that's
that's
why.
what I was referring to. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. That's why a lot of the games I drafted are games that came out. Have already come out. Like I said, I've got 15 games out. Gables only has 8. Because I kind of like played the safe game here, bidding on games that were like already had dates or were like early 2022 games. And Gables took a couple swings. Some paid off. Elden Ring got obviously is huge for him, but like Breath of the Wild 2 and the the next Mario Kart game did not happen. They both got
Oh, yeah.
delayed or just weren't announced. So you got zeros on those, but some will pay off, I'm sure. We're still
Well,
waiting on
yeah.
some dates. We
When it
got God
came
of
to the
War.
month of when it came to, like, to the month of March and stuff, there were a couple swings that I did take and stuff, and one actually proved to be quite big of a swing, and that was Moss Book 2, which right now I
Yeah,
had like about 15
15
points just from
points.
that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. So I mean, there's definitely been like, yeah, it's funny. Like some of these I took as like kind of a joke. Like talk about like Destiny 2 Witch Queen ended up being 88 points. I got 18 points on that one.
Yeah, that one I
Uh,
didn't see coming because the
no,
Destiny expansions were technically traditionally not that high in terms of scoring.
yeah,
Besides Forsaken.
and I definitely had some like misses here, like Rainbow Six Extraction. I only got 2 points for Dying Light 2. I only got 6 points for. Tiny Tina Wonderland. I only got 8. MLB the Show. I'm sitting at a 7 right now.
Hmm.
WD2K22. I did bid on. And Weird West. Those 2 games I bid on. But I only put like $2 down for those
Yeah.
each. And I only got 7 and 6. I thought this do a little bit better, but it's whatever. But yeah, like Gables was saying, he's only got 2 spots left, but he's got $47. So he can definitely. He has a lot. Like I have six spots left, but I have $64 left. So he has a lot more money to spend on a lot less spaces. He's got less money than me, but he's got way less spaces he's got to fill. So he can definitely, bid high on if some big like I don't know, say GTA 6 fucking gets announced for this year. Gables can just drop everything on that hypothetically, and easily
Would not
outbid
be
me
a
on.
smart move, but still.
Yeah, but that's a guaranteed that's gonna be a big hit. So, because like right now, Gables is projected to beat me for this year, but we'll have to wait and see. Like a lot of the games he has currently on his roster right now do not have dates. And most of the
Yeah,
games I
give or
have,
take.
yeah, and most of the games I do have dates. So, but like I said, I'm taking a lot of I'm bunting a lot. I'm taking a lot of like guaranteed these games are coming out, but they're not. Maybe not gonna be big hits, but they're gonna be. I'm gonna get some. They're gonna be high 7s, some low 8s, and maybe I'm gonna get like I'm gonna hit a home run on like a Total Warhammer 3 or like a Witch Queen shit like that. So,
What I
um,
will say is there have been some indie games that I have went through and either drafted or picked up through the bids and stuff that have incredibly paid off.
all the other world,
Ollie World,
yep.
Tunic was another
Tunic,
one.
yeah, big hit for you.
I had a feeling that Tunic was going to be that
I
way.
did
I knew that
not.
Moss Book 2.
Yeah, I love Moss, and I did not expect Moss to do that well. So, um,
The last game was like in the mid 80s and stuff like that. And from what I saw initially from Moss Book 2 when it was first unveiled, it looked like it was going to be good.
yeah,
But it actually surpassed my expectations because from reading looking at the reviews, watching that stuff, seeing gameplay and stuff, it seems like it's a natural evolution from the first game and better than the first game.
Yeah.
That was very surprising.
It's one of those games that.
But
like,
did you expect?
No,
Did you expect Tyler?
I was
Tunic?
expecting. I was not. I was like, I'm not gonna waste a spot on a game that I thought would do. Like I thought, like high 70s maybe. I'm like, and not bad for a game you only put a few bucks down on. So that's kind of stuff with Tom here. Like, you put a couple bucks down, and you get a big hit out of it. So, yeah. So that's what's going on with that. Like I said, we're not gonna talk about it too much longer or too much more for the next couple months. Really, like I might bring it up at in a month because we have like a couple games coming out at the end of this month, the beginning of next month. It's about then, but then after that, and in June we have a few games coming out. So it's good unless some more shit pops up. That's pretty much gonna be it for that. But moving on, Gables, to what we've been playing. You and I have played the Stranger's Paradise demo. The only reason I started playing it is because of the what you played that demo, you can actually carry over to the main game.
Yes.
So that's the reason I started playing it. Like while I was waiting for my games to be shipped, I'm like, well, I don't really have a lot going on for the week, so I might as well just like chip away at this. I actually played through the demo. It was actually a pretty sizable. It was almost 4 hours of content. In that demo. I think you got like the first 4 missions. You got the tutorial on the first 4 missions. I played a little bit more today. I'm like, well, just shy of 6 hours into it. I told Gables, like, you got to play this game because it's this demo because it's fucking wild. I'm like, just play the first mission. Get to that first cutscene in the first mission. Gables, did you get there?
I believe I have. I'm at that point and stuff where I'm facing off against like think Chaos, that boss and stuff like that.
Did you beat Garland, that boss?
No, I have not beat Garland
Damn
yet. He is actually proven to be kind of a little bit more
difficult.
He's very
difficult. He beat me because this game is actually pretty difficult, especially in the beginning. It's getting easier now as I've gotten more. I'm like on like the 6th or 7th mission now. But this game is fucking wild. Gables, the opening cutscene just starts playing Frank fucking Sinatra.
Yes.
Like the trailer.
Yes.
I'm like, this game was like rushed. They had no budget, but they had the budget for Frank fucking Sinatra. And then after you beat that boss, Gables, Limp Bizkit. You get motherfucker. Yes, they got Limp Bizkit. There's just like, so you beat Garland. So minus spoilers, you kill the first boss, and this like woman, I think Neon is her name. I don't remember. The story is fucking nuts. You meet her and she's like, oh, Chaos is like, Jack, you're the guy, the main character that you play as. He's like he just wants you. No one explains anything. Apparently he lost his memories. I don't know. I'm really confused by this. They never really explain it to you. He's just in a field. You do a tutorial. Frank Sinatra's playing. They teach you the controls, and then how you get introduced to the characters, Jed and Ash. I want to say his name is the other guy. Yeah. You literally are walking up to a courtyard, and then they walk up next. They just bump into you at this courtyard, and they all pull out a crystal, and then they just fist bump. That was and then to like normally in that kind of when you meet people, you have like this growing thing. You play the game and you grow. You learn about the characters, and like you see the characters grow together, and you learn about these characters. No, you get a black screen with white text to explain that they went and talked to the king. He said, do this. And then weeks go by, and then boom, now you're on a boat together. And I'm like,
that's pretty jarring.
What is happening? This is the first like 15 minutes of the game. I'm like, we just skipped all of like the growing experience of like why I should care about these characters. Like, apparently, okay, so why does like Jack have amnesia? What is going on with these crystals? Why does he want to kill Chaos? He just keeps talking about he wants like this is bullshit. I want to kill Chaos. It's like, why? Why do you like? I get it's Chaos. I guess like, oh, it's Chaos. You want to kill, but why does he so motivated to kill Chaos? I have no fucking idea, Gables. Do you know? Did you get any of this?
Honestly, there are a lot of like there's actually just a lot of like crazy ass moments in regards to the story that I've seen. I mean, that's definitely jarring in regards to going to different cutscenes, and that kind of took me by surprise. Like, okay, maybe this is just for the demo or something like that. But no, apparently that's actually the full game.
This is the full first 4 hours. This is the full game. Like they did not cut anything out. This is the game. And then you
There
meet.
were so many different things. There are definitely so many different things I noticed in regards to it. Like one, the street attire and stuff is just basic street attire from the modern setting.
Yes, like we're in this like fantasy realm. Thank you for bringing this up. They're in this fucking fantasy realm where people are wearing like fucking drabs and like the kings are like in like old England times, and these motherfuckers are in skinny jeans and tank tops.
Yeah,
with gel in their hair, and I'm like, what is happening right now? This is.
And at one point, Jack pulls out a cell phone, like a modern day cell phone and stuff with his.
He's wearing AirPods. He is wearing Bluetooth headphones. And he's like, okay, so this gets to my point. After you beat the first boss, spoiler, you beat the first boss. You meet Neon. She's the fourth character. And let me, it gets crazier. So the whole point is like, there's 4 people with these crystals. Neon, I believe, is Neo or Neo. I can't remember her name. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
4 Warriors of Light.
Yeah, there's a 4 Warriors of Light. You only play with 3 characters in the game at a time, but you could you pick the 3 characters you want. Well, you always have Jack, but then you pick the other 3 you want to go with you. But you could still hear the other characters' dialogue when you're playing the game. When you're fighting, they'll talk about the fight, but they're not there, but they'll talk about it. So, anyways, you beat the first boss. There's a cutscene. Neo, whatever the fuck her name is like, chaos is a myth. It doesn't exist. And then it just cuts to Jack. He's like, bullshit. And then he turns around, he pulls his phone out, hits play, starts playing Limp Bizkit, and walks away. What? What is happening? This game is fucking...
I've seen that cutscene.
Wild. This game, Gables, this game is fucking awesome. I love this game. I'm having a blast with this game. I love it. This is the greatest game of all time. I think this game is fan-fucking-tastic. The story is so stupid, but I don't think Team Ninja...
They have to be self-aware with that
I don't think they
know?
are, and that's what makes it great. They don't realize it, how stupid this is. And if they do, fucking awesome to you. But I hope they don't, because it's great for it. Oh my God. But on top of that, Gables, this game is a fucking blast to play. The combat is awesome. I think it's a good difficulty. I like the soul, like where you can counter people's like projectile attacks, and it raises your max health, and then like you can knock out the break where you can stagger them, and then you can like do like a finishing move, and it raises your MP. And then you have the job system, which I didn't think I like. It's kind of overwhelming at first, but then I got used to it. And you like, there's definitely a little overwhelming with like all the shit they throw at you, and they give you like a million fucking like I'm constantly like I'm running out of room constantly because they give you so much fucking like weapons armor. Yeah, like I'm constantly I literally spent 10 minutes today just going through and dismantling shit before the podcast. But this game is so fucking fun. I am having a blast with this game. I'm so disappointed. This is like one of the worst selling Final Fantasy games of all time. And I totally get it why it is. But this game is like actually really good. Like it is perfect. This game is perfect for what it is. Game of the year.
I'll tell you something right now. You know what this kind of reminds me of? The whole Strangers Final Fantasy and stuff. It reminds me of another game back from Square Enix's past that not a lot of people do remember, but except for like some of the niche few back on the Super Nintendo, you know how Final Fantasy, had the main games and stuff like that, 4, 5, and 6 and stuff like that. There was another Final Fantasy game on the Super Nintendo as well, and that was Mystic Quest, and that was also a game that didn't really take itself too seriously, and it was also kind of like a parody of like other JRPG, like kind of parodying itself in some retrospects, in some aspects. Some of the tongue-in-cheek stuff, some of the over-the-top stuff of the main character and this and that. This seems like a natural evolution of like the portrayals and sort of like the reminiscent of like say from back then. Only it's elevated to like 10,
Yes,
or like multitudes of that stuff. And from what I initially played, the gameplay is absolutely fantastic. You're switching through different classes like on the fly with the triangle button or the Y button, or whatsoever. You can go forth and equip a whole bunch of different armor, and the armor actually looks like it inside of them when you're attacking people. There's different types of like weapons you can try out. It bombards you with so many different types of weapons and like like armors and stuff like that. You literally, once you go forth and finish a group of battles and stuff, and bear in mind there are some areas that are just okay. Go to this room, kill a whole bunch of enemies. Okay, advance on to this room, then kill a whole bunch of enemies, and then repeat. And then like from A to B, not a lot of backtracking. I mean, it really doesn't need a lot of backtracking. I mean, you're already going through a whole bunch of crap as it is.
Mm.
But from the initial hour, or probably an hour and a half that I did play that demo, especially from last night, I got so much different armor, so much different types of weapons that I literally kept pausing like every time I finished a battle encounter just to make sure I had the right corresponding weapons, and that way I
Oh yeah.
wasn't so underpowered.
I just kept doing optimized weapons, and let me tell you, Gables, that will save you a lot of time because I did that for like the
Oh,
first like
probably.
hour, and I was like, this is like I'm getting so much shit, I can't do this. So every couple of battles, I would stop, check. I click the touchpad. I think that this says optimized weapons, does it for you, saves you all the time in the world.
Oh yeah, no shit.
Yeah, because there's a lot you can spend a lot of time in those menus if you don't do that.
Oh, let me tell you something though. But fighting against Garland in that first initial boss thing, yeah, it definitely is hard as
He
hell,
kicked
and
my ass about
that's
10 times.
because, and that's just me not knowing too much about the whole gameplay mechanics, not being used to it.
Yeah.
But I finally had it the past couple of battles that I lost and stuff that I definitely was timing my like that soul attack or
Yeah.
something, that
Soul
soul
break.
block and
Yeah.
stuff, the soul break and stuff, just at the right moment, so that way I could dodge it a few more times and do it like this. I've only got him to like a little under half, and that was just it because he keeps rushing forward and fucking killing me because I missed time a couple of soul break attacks. But
I
I'm
recommend
playing it.
if you can make your AI people more aggressive, if you hit like the left and right on the D-pad, you'll see on
Uh-huh.
their like thing, and that will make
Yeah.
them more aggressive. So then they can kind of aggro him, and then you can get in some
Yeah.
shots. And then also,
Oh.
if you can, I recommend taking in the mage as your secondary job, so you can do
Oh.
like magic attacks to him. So I was
Oh,
doing
yeah, that
that.
makes sense.
I was doing that from
Distance.
the distance, and I'd go in, attack him, build up the MP, go skip back out, and then let them aggro him, and then I could hit him with a couple like quake attacks or fire or whatever.
That makes absolutely a lot of sense. I mean, he's definitely deadly when it comes to melee, close
I
combat. So
definitely I cheesed that one because he I mean he kicked my ass because and especially because yeah like they throw so much at you in the beginning. It took me a solid few hours to really get used to that fucking. I think it was like
I can
mission 3 or
definitely see
4.
my.
Go ahead.
Well, like I was saying, I could definitely see myself playing more of this game.
Oh God, Gables.
That's initially what I've seen from the overall feeling of the cutscenes, the overall feeling of like the story of the characters, and like even the gameplay and everything else. This feels like a cult classic game.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely
I hope you buy
does.
this game. It's multiplayer, so
Yeah, it is.
I would be all for fucking if you buy this game, Gables, I will play it with you. I'm legitimately like they're like the story is fucking stupid, the characters are stupid, but this game is amazing. I'm actually having I cannot believe how good this game is. And
Dude.
Gables, to say this game looks like a game from that was made in 2010 would be a compliment. This game looks like straight trash, but I don't care because I love it. I adore it. It is like
Actually,
that.
I
Go
feel
ahead.
like I want to play more because I want to see how crazier this thing gets.
Oh my god, I'm so happy to hear this. I was so worried that you might not like this game. Oh my, it's good. It's so good. People buy this game, or maybe like actually just wait like 2 weeks. It'll probably be $20.
Yeah, no shit. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, if you can find the game for $20, do it because it's man, this game is so good. Yeah. Oh my god, I can't wait to play more of this. That's my weekend plans. I have something I gotta do tomorrow night, but I feel like tomorrow is gonna be a lot of Strangers of Paradise. I'm doing all the side missions and shit. Like I've got to the point now, like after like the demo, you unlock side missions, and I'm going through doing those. And they're like 5-10 minutes. So that's pretty cool too. So like they don't take a lot of time. And just like grinding out some jobs levels and stuff like that. This game is a lot of fun to play. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
Like
surprisingly. Oh,
this is like the best 7 out of 10 ever made, and I mean that as like the utmost as a compliment. This game is like the best 7 I've ever played in my entire life. So yeah. Anything else, Gables, you want to add on that one?
oh, let's see. Not for Strangers of Paradise.
Okay.
I know I've played like a group of other games and stuff. I've
Okay.
played a little bit. I touched on earlier, of like MLB the Show 2022.
Okay.
I basically just went through and played like a pickup game and stuff, plus the tutorial. Ironically enough, I picked the Giants and stuff like that as like the team I was going through and like the favorite team stuff. And what does it do? It gets me against the Atlanta Braves, and I play a game
You
like that
asshole.
with it. With going, that's the thing though. That's the CPU that picked it through like the tutorial game, this and that and stuff like that. And so after I got through and set my features, my like control styles accordingly and stuff, I actually did like a full exhibition game, and it recommended to go for the Braves. I'm okay. I'll go with the Braves and see what happens. I ended up like with my pitcher, literally for like throwing like about 140 pitches because at that point, I was testing things out, so I ended up beating the Braves like 12-0.
You're just mad
With
because we stole your first baseman.
Oh my gosh, oh gosh. No, it was just nothing by design. It was just me trying to see if like there was a difference between me playing like the Giants and like the A's in that regard, so like that. And sure enough, as soon as like Ruff got to the bat and stuff for the Giants and I freaking hit that home run, like how the fuck did I just do that? But no, there's aspects of like the accessibility of like how you can pitch a ball, how you can like hit it and fielding and this and that. I mean, they had the same features last year, but I feel like I can really just go in, play a couple pickup games and this and that. But no, there are other games I did play through the Game Pass stuff. Edge of Eternity was a game that was put on Game Pass this year. But it was just one of those slew of like new releases where okay, I'm just gonna download this. I downloaded 7 games, right? Indie games. Edge of Eternity was the first one I played, and it was trash, absolutely trash, because it definitely felt like a game from the PlayStation 2 generation in the worst ways possible, like a JRPG, like from back then. Slow load times, choppy performance, cutscenes definitely look like they were from 20 years ago. And on top of that, it's like there were some. That's the thing. The music and the voice acting wasn't too bad. The combat itself could have been better, but it was very generic. And worst of all, and stuff for like plot twists and stuff like that. While you're doing like the first main battle and stuff like that, you could tell which character was going to get killed because one of like their stats, their magic points, was like over 8,000. Well, you had like 23 or 24. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, okay, I know that's like that. So after I got done, not even playing a half hour of that game, I promptly deleted it off my Xbox because I did not have any interest in playing it again. There was another game I tried, which was Dreamscaper. Dreamscaper. This is a game that was released this past year, I think earlier this year. It definitely has that feel to where it's not like more like a Diablo. It's more like a almost like a roguelike sort of game to where you explore different types of areas, you defeat a whole bunch of different enemies. So basically, you're this girl that's inside of a new town that you moved into and stuff. And when you fall asleep and stuff, you're transported into this world that you have to try to gather like a whole bunch of different types of like attacks and resources and stuff. And depending upon how much you progress inside this game, depends upon what decisions and stuff you make inside of like real life and stuff. So, for example, one of the beginning parts is like you go to this like coffee bar or whatsoever. You try to do some sketches or whatever the hell this stuff, and then when you go forth and rest and stuff, you go back to that world and stuff, and you get to face off against one of the first major bosses, which was it's basically entitled Fear, right? And it's just like a gigantic like whale or something like that. You have to try to beat or something that's just swimming underneath you and stuff, and do this and do that. The whole gameplay concept isn't too bad. Apparently, this game released in like in other platforms and stuff, and had some fairly decent grades in that regards. Let's see. I tried Infernax. Infernax is actually not too bad. It's a pretty interesting action game. It definitely has a lot of tiebacks and like from other games, like say Castlevania 2. Some of the graphics kind of reminded me of like a Castlevania game in general. There are some aspects to where you can upgrade like certain portions, like your health, your magic power, or like how much of a specific like inventory item and stuff you can upgrade and stuff based upon how much coins or gold and stuff you collect. So of course I'm gonna try to upgrade my power as much as possible. So I'm gathering literally like experience. No, you actually have to gather XP from bosses, and you literally level up through a save through your save point.
Hmm.
And so that's basically what I had been doing. And I'm thinking, you know what? They allow you to do this pretty early on. Let's see how far I can get. And so I like upgraded my attack like twice and stuff like that. And you have to really grind to try to get some more experience to do that. But Infernax, it definitely has that type of feel and stuff to where it is fucking gory as shit. It's like a 2D action game, right? It's like a 2D platforming game. But on top of what you're supposed to be doing, which is coming back to your hometown after being out from the Crusades or whatsoever, you have to face off against all these like hellspawn, like demons and stuff like that. But it's fairly fun. I know there were like a couple other games I did test out. Oh, one of them was Young Souls. Young Souls was a game that was released this year too. It definitely has a fun pick up and play sort of feel to it. I'm initially through like the first couple of chapters. I think I'm on either chapter 5 or chapter 6. And I was basically testing out this game's combat, this and that. You know, I'm on the normal mode. There are some things that can be challenging, but you can switch between the two characters and stuff with the Y button or the triangle button based upon what platform you're playing it on and stuff. It's fairly seamless, but yeah, it definitely has an interesting sort of action RPG sort of mechanic to it. But other than that, though, I think I tried Windjammers 2. Windjammers 2, okay.
Yeah,
Definitely it's definitely like there were some aspects of I think were kind of a little bit more like convoluted and stuff as compared to the original one. Like there's certain points, things that have been changed. There's certain other things. It's more or less me not being used to the whole new mechanics of it. Like there's actually a dedicated jump button to that thing so you can go forth and try to throw discs and stuff or catch them from above. And there's also a deflection button. So if you throw like a disc or something like that, if you time it just right, you can just go forward and just like just hit your opponent's disc and stuff right back to them. But I'm basically getting into battles where with a CPU they'll just spam special attacks and sometimes it can be fairly obnoxious. So it's definitely one of those things where I'm gonna go back to and recheck. Maybe I can just dumb down the difficulty and see if if it's just that's being the issue, if just me not being familiar with the game itself. But yeah, this has basically been a week of me using Game Pass as sort of like a rental thing to try out a whole bunch of different games and see what sticks and what doesn't.
Yeah.
I still need to try out Tunic because I want to play Tunic, but these other games that have released have held my interest pretty nicely. And honestly, if everything goes well, maybe I'll buy another game, possibly before the end of like the next week. Here's hoping.
Gables, if I can make 2 recommendations for you.
What?
A, Kirby.
Yeah.
B, Strangers of Paradise.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep that in consideration, though.
I'd say if you're liking it, Gables, I'd say keep playing through the demo. If you get past Garland, like I said, take the white mage shit, or not the white mage, the
mage.
The mage, yeah.
Black mage?
Not black mage. I don't remember what mage it is, but take that one, cheese the fuck out of him, kill him, move on. It gets a lot of it gets once you But anyways, it's good. Gables, I have one more thing I want to talk about before we get out of here. I know we're going long. Apologize, people. I didn't tell you, Gables. I don't know if you've looked at my PlayStation games list the last 24 hours or so, Gables, but I did something.
What?
I started Elden Ring.
You started Elden Ring.
I started Elden Ring.
I thought it was something you were going to go forth and trade it in for credit.
Yeah, I know, but I put it in and I started playing. I did the tutorial and I'm like an hour in now, and I picked Samurai because I heard
that's a good choice.
I heard that was a good starter for novices in the Dark Souls world. You have a bow and arrow, but I'm really excited when I saw the bow and arrow. I'm like, okay, well, I'm picking that one. The bow and arrow in this game sucks, though, to be honest with people. Going from Horizon to this, terrible. But obviously I understand, like, one game's built around a bow and arrow, and the other one is not built around a bow and arrow.
You'll soon understand why some of the weapons suck inside that game, and that's up until you unlock the blacksmith and try to upgrade some of those weapons through collecting of smithing stones and somber smithing stones.
Okay.
That's why your bow sucks right now.
I found the smoldering caves. It's not going great.
Okay.
It's not going great, Gables. It's not going great. These like mimic guy. I
Let
don't
me
know.
ask you, have you unlocked the thing to how to level?
Nope. It's not going great,
Let me
Gables.
give
Yeah, I
dude,
know. You got to find 3 great graces. I was like, where the fuck do I level at? Because I have like 2,500 ruins or whatever the fuck they're called.
it's
You,
unlocked through a cutscene.
you gotta find 3 graces. You get a cutscene. I know that now. I looked it up after the fact. I'm like, why can't I
Yeah.
level up? Because I don't want to lose these fuckers. And I looked it up after. I'm able to. I was able to like. I kept dying, but I was able to go back and get my shit.
Yes.
I looked it up. You have to find 3 graces, and then they're gonna cutscene,
Yes.
and then you can level up. I know that now. I'm aware of that now. I'm definitely gonna I'm gonna play Final Fantasy Strangers in Paradise first, and then I might deep dive into this one, and then eventually maybe go play Ghostwire Tokyo here. Well, not maybe, I will, because I paid for it. Yeah, I'm done. I'm gonna give this one a shot. I'm gonna give it a fair shot. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I just want to mention, I put like an hour into it. I understand why people love the game. Let's see if Tyler will love this game.
Well, I will say this, you'll go in with more information than when I did when I started playing this game.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to be a good advantage for you and unless you don't want to play the game long term, but to give you some suggestions, definitely take the time to explore around the terrains and stuff. Yeah, you will die fairly and quickly.
Oh, I've died like about 15 times already.
But if you want to go forth and try to get your character level to a certain extent, since you took the role of samurai, I took the role of a warrior.
Yeah.
I had dual wielding and stuff. Know that look out for a type of like weapons that have bleed buildup.
Okay.
Currently, bleed buildup is one of the most overpowered sort of things.
I've heard there's some people there's some people in the Elden Ring community that don't like people that use the bleed stuff.
That's for PvP. But if you're more or less doing inside the main game, then I'll tell you what, man. I mean, it's open game on the bosses, because when I initially did my build for my warrior character, I had dual scimitars, right? I used those weapons I carried throughout that entire playthrough, that 92-hour playthrough, and they're the default weapons that I had got for my
That's why
class.
I heard people do with the samurai. They use it. They have a default, and then they have a katana that they take with them that's got bleed damage.
But I'll tell you this, because you're using the samurai and stuff, there are definitely a couple of katanas you do need to look out for. One's the Moon Veil, and the other one's the Ore Blade. Those are 2 that I definitely had. And plus, that boss that I was telling you about, that, that had that crazy-ass special attack, plus the interesting weapon. Yeah, that's one of the best katanas in the entire game, and it's locked through a secret boss of Millennia.
Okay.
But, I'll be perfectly honest with you. If you come across some bosses that you can't beat, and if you try to go forth and focus upon leveling things, especially in sort of like, say, health, endurance, and because you're using a sort of like a warrior, sort of like, no, you're using samurai sort of class, I would focus more upon like either strength or dexterity. Definitely have at least the minimum in regards to either strength or dexterity, which would be like maybe, I want to say 20 to like 24.
Okay.
But it really depends upon you, because there are different types of weapons that will require a specific number of attributes that you have. Like, for example, I had a God Killer hammer that would only be able to use its full potential if I had 60 inside of strength. And the only reason why I had 60 in strength is because I already had gotten every other stat that I wanted to. Like, a max of 40 at least inside of health. I had like 22 in regards to like mind. And this is just my warrior build. I definitely over leveled inside of like the initial build that I had, 210.
Yeah.
But it really depends upon what weapons you want to use and basically what type of setup. But if I were you, I'd try dual katanas.
Okay.
Dual katanas, because that will definitely help you. And plus, you have a cool L1 attack and stuff to where you're going through a different type of motions and stuff. Jump attacks are extremely powerful. if you go through that whole Tower of Lingrave and stuff like that, definitely explore around because you'll find a different type, like a talisman that'll help you improve your damage rate when you do jump attacks.
Okay.
That's like
Okay.
during the first area with Margit, the Fell Omen, and like a Godric.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm definitely gonna. Definitely want a good weapon for the left trigger, because I'm never much of a parrier or a blocker.
I
So
hardly parried throughout that
yeah,
entire game.
I've never been the dodge and parry. Dodging I'm decent at, but I've never been the parry guy in any game ever. Um,
And also get used to the aspect of being on the offensive and stuff.
I've heard
You
be
have to go
aggressive.
forth and be risk. You have
Be
to be aggressive with some of
aggressive.
these bosses.
I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry.
You have to stick by their feet, especially if you face off against dragons or whatsoever, and watch out for their tails, tail wags, their tail swings and stuff like that. But
What about dragons doing seismic toss? Do they do that in this
Jesus
game?
Christ,
Especially at the top of
not a
a
seismic
volcano.
toss. I mean,
Okay.
I'll tell you what, man, if they did a seismic toss inside that game, I probably wouldn't have lived to tell the tale.
No.
But
No.
no, they'll go forth and they'll they'll go forth and they'll cover the entire field with fire, though. That's
Okay.
something you
Well,
have to
fuck
look
it.
out for.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna play Strangers. I'm gonna focus on Strangers of Paradise,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna give it a fair shot. I'm gonna give it a fair shot. We'll see how it goes. But
Okay.
you people don't know, not the most patient guy in the world, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that is pretty much it, guys, for this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked all that, like I said at the top of the show, please, if you haven't done it yet while you're listening to it, please like, follow, subscribe wherever you're listening to. Look in the description for the link tree, and that will have you click on that, have a link to everywhere we are available at. And please download the podcast. Every time we download the audio version, Gables and I get a little bit of money, and we really appreciate that. Anyways, until next time, I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, play some fun games. Definitely have a fun time. But most importantly, thank you for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk-Nerds podcast.
And hey, Gables.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Portillo.
Rest in peace, Portillo.
The king! Bye, guys.
See ya.